welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Chris, the Sherminator, Kelly.
It's the Kellinator. So
The Kellinator?
The Kellinator.
I remember you used to walk around on film sets. Hey, Chris Kelly. No, it's a Kellinator. And we're like, what? Yeah, it's a Kellinator, like Sherminator from the 1999 film American Pie.
Yeah, you didn't notice how I'm walking around stiffly and then turning my head without moving my body?
And then someone went, hey, wouldn't that be from the Terminator? Didn't the Sherminator take that from the Terminator? And you went, shut up.
So no, man. No. The Terminator went in the future, take it from me, to go back to do the Terminator.
What?
I thought it was originally called the Killinator, but they figured that sounded a little bit too rough. Terminator just sounds like, although the word terminate is a lot more brutal sounding, but it sounded cooler.
Well, sometimes the most obvious, it's a Terminator, he's going to terminate things. But if you watch a movie called The Kellinator, you don't expect things to be terminated.
No, it's that weird Y in the middle of it. I think that kind of throws folks off, too.
If you go to a movie called The Terminator and nothing is terminated, you wouldn't enjoy it.
No, I don't know what you would expect if you're going to see a movie called Terminator and it was like, men at work. I'm not quite sure how you would really respond to that. Be like, man, Charlie Sheen was hilarious in that movie. Why was he in a thing called The Terminator?
I was joking that it could be something like Kramer versus Kramer, but there are divorce lawyers and people who terminate relationships. Wow. Chris, I'm really enjoying this. It's kind of random. You and I backed into an unwitting series here at Movies, Films, and Flicks.
That we did. I mean, originally it was when we were for the Final Fights, you had asked me what I wanted to do, and I immediately shot out Rocky. And I love the Rocky franchise. But then moving on to that, it's like, well, yeah, I also really like American Pie. And then you shot me a text message that said, hey, Kellinator, what do you think of American Pie? And I said, I like American Pie. So, bam, we got them both going on. What's next? Are we going to do the Leprechaun franchise?
Oh, yeah, I'm in. And I also love it, too, that you and I have been tackling on 1999 movies, too. So we had Detroit Rock City. We've covered Election. Also, I wouldn't say this is around that time, but we also did Out Cold and Role Models. So we're covering these PG-13, well, Out Cold should be R, but we're covering these PG-13 R-rated comedy that are kind of like raunchy comedies, I would say is the name for it, right?
Yeah, and they were all really big they were big in the 80s as well. They became really big in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s as well. So I would say that these are all within the same realm. Maybe they're the same ballpark as one another. So I can see why they would easily go together. They complement one another.
And I gotta, what's interesting here is in 1999, 10 Things I Hate About You, American Pie, Varsity Blues, She's All That, Never Been Kissed, Jawbreaker, Cruel Intentions, Election, Idle Hands, The Wood, Dick, Detroit Rock City, and Drive Me Crazy were released. That's a lot of teenage comedies. And I was working.
I think we covered half of those on your podcast.
And I was working in a movie theater at the time, and I just remember when watching Election, having my mind blown from it. Detroit Rock City was in and out of the theaters. But American Pie, this movie was a legitimate blockbuster. So the first one, with inflation, it made $189 million just domestically. And then the second one, which we'll get to, made $240. The third one, $162 million, and American Reunion made $65 million. However, these movies domestically, let's see. Worldwide, without inflation, $991 million. And they would cross the billion mark if we just tossed in some inflation.
Well, with inflation worldwide, the first movie made $364.2 million, which is ridiculous considering it cost $11 million, but for inflation, $17 million, which I'm sure for those of you out there that haven't listened to the commentary, they were still kind of fresh into the movie coming out. They didn't really realize how big of a hit it was really going to be. And it was sort of like, if you listen to my episode on my podcast about Superbad, they recorded that podcast prior to the movie coming out, which was kind of strange because most of the time commentaries are
the commentary, not the podcast.
Yes, if you listen to my episode on the podcast about Superbad, we commented about how that commentary track for Superbad had been recorded prior to the movie coming out. So the guys who were recording it had no idea how big Superbad was actually going to be, and they make comments in that saying like, well, it'll probably be somewhat of a hit. You know, I wonder if they even will make fun of us or whatever. Maybe we'll be in one of those scary movies. They'll mock us in that. And it's the same thing with American Pie. They recorded that prior, not I don't know if it was prior to the movie coming out, but it was definitely very early into its release. So they were very naive, I guess you would say, as to what was about to happen, which is really interesting because all the actors and the writer and the director and the producer, they're all just kind of making these light jokes saying like, oh, ha, 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 yeah, this is how that happened. Oh, yeah, da, 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 da. They had no idea that this was going to be a cultural phenomenon. I guess that is probably the best way to put it, considering this was the revamp of teenage sex comedies that we hadn't seen in well over a decade at that point.
I love the shameless plug for your classic American movies podcast, Chris Kelly. And I also love that director Adam Hirsch would go around and drop off a script onto the desks of studio bosses, and the script said unfinished teenage sex comedy, which can be made for under $10 million that studio readers will most likely hate, but I think you will love.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an $11 million movie that exploded. So, Chris, give me 3 reasons why this $11 million teenage sex comedy, was able to just, it's entered the zeitgeist. It really has. I mean, Stifler's mom, and MILF, and the pie bit, and, you know, Suck Me Beautiful, and other lines that we don't want to use. I mean, this movie, working in a theater, this movie just kept filling up. People just kept watching this movie. Kids kept trying to sneak in, buy a ticket for a PG-13 movie, sneak into this movie. Give me 3 reasons why this movie became a blockbuster.
I would say timing is definitely the number one thing. It came out on July 9th, which was right after the 4th of July weekend. So the target audience was those who are going to go into their senior year, because this movie is about a bunch of seniors. So your target audience was the group of seniors, people who were about to be seniors, and it was stuff that they were probably thinking about, and also things that they did do. Also, I think that the humor, another thing would be the humor. The humor was something that hadn't really been fresh. I think one reviewer that I read compared this to Porky's, and this was kind of like the 90s Porky's. So everyone really liked that movie. We needed to have another one, and it was perfectly laid into it. Also, we had fresh faces Jason Biggs and Tara Reid were kind of known at the time.
Thomas Ian Nicholas.
Also, Mina Suvari, I believe. No, wait, not Mina Suvari. Allison Hannigan was a name in the commercial world. And also, we can't forget about Stifler's mom, who was a massive name in the comedy world. But she didn't really sell the movie. It was more relied on the gross out humor. But I would say the humor was definitely number 2 as well. It was just all those things that it's kind of like when the older guy would tell you a joke when you were younger that you were thinking, oh my God, that's the funniest thing ever. I can't believe no one has ever thought of that. And then it turns out that was just a regular old recycled joke. But the humor was definitely number 1. Timing was definitely number 1. Humor was number 2. Number 3, I think it's just a movie that every adult male, well, not an adult male, I'm sorry, but like a teenage male could probably relate to. It has a lot of that slapstick, goofy, sexual humor that's all kind of like funny, like ha ha ha, oh, we seen, boobs, ha ha ha, stuff like that. But I think those 3 things really did sell it, and the fact that it was written by a guy who was 27 at the time really kind of helped it out. I think if it was written by somebody who was 35, it probably wouldn't have worked too well. But the fact that the guy was a lot, he was still kind of that age. He was of the high school, college-aged humor. And I think that really pushed it along really well. And it's just those little gags that happen throughout it as well. It's just, with the pale ale, and then you have Jim broadcasting Nadia around on the internet. And it's the infancy of the internet and the mistakes that you can make.
And the webcams.
The webcams, which was interesting because that was pretty high-tech stuff for 1999.
Yeah, that was pretty good bandwidth,
I remember seeing
right?
that scene. Yeah, that's pretty good. It was pretty good image too, considering the timing. They still had dial-up, I believe. So it was kind of like, Not only that, well, another thing that may have helped it, I'm not 100% sure on this, but due to it actually coming out well, at the time that it did, it really didn't have much competition, to be honest with you. Its stiffest competition would have been Lake Placid and possibly Eyes Wide Shut, but I don't think Eyes Wide Shut wasn't really that big. But it really didn't have too much competition wise in the theaters.
Yeah, I guess you look at all the stacked movies that were released July, August of that year. This kind of stuck out as the R-rated teenager sex comedy. So kids, they didn't really want to go see Eyes Wide Shut. They didn't really go, the kids who didn't want to go see Sixth Sense went and watched this. And I know, and there were some other big ones that year, Cruel Intentions and everything, but this was kind of in a league of its own in regards to all these teenager films. Like She's All That was PG-13. It was just kind of a nice little film. Election was more of an adult type film that took place in a high school. Mm. So yeah, I mean, it was good timing, and I think this movie had a weird. Like, listen, there's some. I've been doing a lot of reading about this, and there are articles that just what works and what doesn't work about this movie. Seems like most people nowadays really like the Oz plotline because he's not part of the whole video cam thing. He tries to be a jerk at first, but then the two actually sort of fall in love and they like each other, and he leaves to go hang out with her, and he's not part of like the normal gang shenanigans. People love that, and then people hate filming someone without their consent and broadcasting it to an entire school, which gets her sent back, and then no one gets in trouble for it. So, but I mean, this is also, I hate saying this, man, but this was 99. I mean, 10 Things I Hate About You, they paid a guy to date a sister. And in She's All That, kids were getting loaded up with steroids and doing all that. Never Been Kissed, a reporter went back to a high school and a teacher fell in love with her. Jawbreaker, you had murderous high schoolers. Cruel Intentions, you had rich boarding school kids playing games with people. Election, I don't know if I'll get into. Idle Hands, just stoners who are murdering each other. Detroit Rock City, these kids going to a concert. It's just, it's the plot
disturbing behavior.
Yeah, exactly. The plot lines of all these 99 movies were bonkers. So it's you just got to look at the time when it was released. But I also think with this movie, though, is there is some heart to it. I mean, and then you also get some really fun surprises. So Allison Hannigan's character just saying, like, what's my name, bitch? Or say my name, bitch. And then she just wipes them up and she uses them. And the whole flute line. And then you get Jim, his escapades twice in his room. And then you get the not weird, but you get the almost soft, nice moments, like the amicable breakup between Kevin and Vicky. Then you get the nice scene on the dock with Oz and Heather. There's some heart to it too. So it's not a movie that, like, Porky's didn't have the heart of this, I would say.
No, definitely not.
The Porky's was just Porky's. But
God.
But it's a weird movie that it did blend heart with a raunch. And I mean, this movie still has a 61% fresh tomato meter score and over 7 on IMDb, so people do like it. And it also, in 99, it brought the goods, man. I mean, I remember audiences going crazy for this movie when I would walk into the theater. So it does. I think it walked a tightrope, and it succeeded in that regard for what it was.
Yeah, I agree. On IMDb, it gets a 7.0, Metascore of 58. Rotten Tomatoes has 61 with the audience. That's also a 61. So it still has its lasting power. I really think that it was the like I said, the people being naive about this movie, the characters and everything, that really did add to it. And I think that people just take it at the time when it came out. But if we could for a second, I'd like to give it up for Chris Klein's hair.
Oh yeah, man.
Oz's hair has that perfect strand that just hangs below, just that one strand. And in the commentary, Paul Weitz, the director, says that he said to the hairstylist, she said, well, how do you want to have Oz's hair? And he said, well, Oz is the kind of guy who doesn't really do too much to make himself look pretty. Like, he'll just put some gel in his hair and then slick his hair back. He's the kind of guy that would have one hair dangling across his forehead. And that's the reason why we have that one hair, is because he said that.
Oh, wow.
That was it. Like, he said that he didn't really want to have that per se. He was more thinking of a guy who just kind of put some gel in his hair, then combed it back and then called it a day. But the hairstylist then was like, oh, well, no, you definitely said you wanted to have that one strand. And Paul was like, you know what? I don't even really care. So let's just go with it.
Oh, I love it. And I got to tell you, another thing that makes this movie work is you know these characters' names. When you think about this movie, it's Jim, Stifler, Finch, Kevin, Oz. You just know who the core crew are. I don't remember the names of the kids in Idle Hands or Detroit Rock City. Do you? Or Out Cold.
Hawk. I remember Hawk from Detroit Rock City.
And before this, if someone asked you the names of these characters, would you have remembered them?
Oh yeah, I would have been like Stifler, Oz, Jim. Everybody would remember those. And then I don't think I would remember the last guy. I would remember Shitbreak. That's the only thing I would remember.
Finch.
But everybody remembers that. We said in a 20-year anniversary interview, they had all the cast members on Entertainment Tonight, and the guy who played Stifler, he said that one of the things that was nice for him was that he's not actually that person in real life. So it was a chance for him. This is his breakout role. This is actually his first big thing, and he took a big gigantic pay cut
like $8,000
to be in this movie. He took $8,000 to be in this movie because he just wanted to be in the movie. And in real life, Seann William Scott is actually a really nice guy, and he's really kind of relaxed, more reserved, and doing this movie allowed him to really break out of that character, and he loved doing that. And they said, the director said that he went full into it, and the character was kind of written as being like obnoxious, but also at the same time a little bit more endearing. And they said that Seann William Scott just kind of threw that out the window, went full into it.
Oh, I love it. I mean, just the looks. She's, I don't want to be that girl. And he's like, you won't. And he laughs to the side.
Yeah.
And then the pale ale. And just, I love that scene where Oz leaves and he goes, I don't think he's coming back, coach. He's
yeah. I mean, he has that dumb smile the whole time. He's just like,
And I kind of love, too, how all these guys are just full of, Kevin is just the biggest turd. But then there's Stifler, who,
he's a bigger turd.
Yeah, but he's more secure with himself. I guess it comes from his mom being super rich. I mean, he has wonderful homes. And then you have the scene with his brother where they're bonding. It's a weird... The guy is not played to be a good character or a nice character or someone you want to hang out with, but he plays him so well that he's just he's a jerk you like. I guess he belongs with Chet. He belongs with Biff. Just these jerks that are just part of your life. And I don't know.
He's not a person. He's not a villain. He's just a jerk. Stifler. Like he's just part of a group of people who are, they're privileged and they've been taken care of. So it'll give him this feeling that he can do whatever he wants. He's the one who's throwing the parties. He's got the good looking women that want to be with him because of these parties. It's not because of him. And he kind of knows that, you know what I mean? That he's aware of who he is almost.
You looked into this character, Chris Kelly.
I did. I'm a big fan. But I'd be a little bit, the movie did make a lot of money, but I'd also be curious as to see how many people bought tickets to something else to go into American Pie, because a 14-year-old Chris did that.
You probably snuck past me in the theaters, you little brat. I had so many kids.
I remember in 9th grade, me and my buddy Joe, we bought tickets to another movie
Tarzan
at the time. It would have been a PG-13 movie, and then we walked into American Pie. I remember that because I remember the guy who was the ticket taker was like, I don't think these guys are going to be going to go see this movie. They're going to go in to see American Pie. And he actually came into the theater. Thankfully, the theater was packed, so he couldn't really see us.
Thug.
Yeah, it was jam-packed. I remember it was packed for a very long time.
People love this movie, and they wanted to sneak in. They wanted to go see it. It grew a buzz. The soundtrack alone was just loaded with. I mean, listen, there's some bangers on this one, man. You had Whole Celebrity Skin. That movie comes in perfectly. I even like Flagpole Sitta, like Mrs. Robinson, which makes me laugh so hard. Bare Naked Lady songs. That Mutt song is perfect for the scene. I mean, it's all about just two people wanting to get laid. I mean, just like 1 week, Semi-Charmed Life they packed in there. This movie was loaded, so it had the cool. I think you're right though. It had you recognize Thomas Ian Nicholas from Rookie of the Year, Nick King Arthur's Court. You recognize a few of the other people. Mena became bigger with American Beauty that came out. But I like it when these movies introduce fresh faces to watch. Like, when I watched this movie, I had no clue. I think Seann William Scott, if he had 5-6 movies under his belt and he played Stifler, people would look at him as Seann William Scott playing a role. But since it's his first role as Stifler, everyone still just calls him Stifler. It's just,
he's been. It took him a while to shake that image too, and people still saw him as Stifler well into Role Models, The Rundown. I think he's doing Lethal Weapon right now, so he's been taken a little bit more seriously now as an actor. It's been almost 20 years, but sometimes these things happen.
He was great in Goon, by the way. If y'all haven't watched Goon, that's a really excellent portrayal by him in there. He's a lot of fun. It's
I still haven't seen that.
He's
I know,
super sweet, like earnest dude who destroys people's faces.
You have been telling me to watch that movie, I think, since 2015.
You're gonna hate it now because Mark's been telling me to watch this. I hate it, but my expectations were too high. But no, I like the fresh. But there's also little moments in here that I like where Jim is talking to a guy about his SATs or 720, and he just starts saying like what words does he say? Oh man, he just starts bringing up big words, and the guy next to him's like, hey, that's not bad. There's these tiny little moments in here like, that just, I mean, it has the obligatory bathroom pooping moment, but I think they handled it much more. That scene's handled much more classily than Detroit Rock City.
Yes, just a hair.
And I think he earned that from Stifler because he was lying about So when Stifler got revenge on him, that's probably the least jerky thing he does.
That's a lower on the totem pole, I would say. He didn't like ruin him for a long period of time. He just kind of made him take a massive dump, and then the girl that was interested in going with him to the prom because of his supposedly massive member no longer wants to go to the prom with him. So I say he probably came out on top on that one.
Jeez Louise.
I don't know if you caught that, but whenever he comes out of the bathroom, that girl that was there whenever he was putting, and then he says, okay, I got to go to the bathroom. And he says, but guys, let me just tell you before I go, whatever rumor you hear about me is absolutely true, and I want you to spread rumors about me. And they're like, wait, what? And then that girl walks up to him. That girl is then outside of the bathroom whenever he comes walking out.
Looking depressed.
She's like, no.
And I don't know what you've read. I know you read a lot about this movie, but Natasha Lyonne, a lot of articles love her character. She's this weird spirit guide for Kev. She's this guide for Vicky. She talks to Finch. She's a very nice, I don't know, she's an interesting character in this movie. She's kind of like a Greek chorus that helps everybody out. She's much more wise than everybody.
And to add to that, she wasn't really supposed to be that big of a character. She was only supposed to be in a couple of different scenes, and then that was about it. But the director said in the commentary that he loved the way that she acted and the way she looked, that he decided to keep her in more. And also at the end where she takes the money that's Finch. I want to call him by his nickname, but I want to stop calling him that.
Crap break.
Crap break.
Crap stop.
She takes the money that he gives her and buys him a flask. So it's like she does that, and it's also like it's showing that she's a nice, sweet woman as well. She has a nice heart.
There's a line in there. I remember when it was 99, I was 17, and she's like, yeah, a guy duped me by telling me that he loved me. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty deep for a high schooler throwing out advice for these kids. Yeah. Now, I got to ask you something. So all right, do me a favor. Rank Jim, Finch, Kevin, and Oz in terms of likability. How would you rank these four?
Jim's definitely number one. He's just a nice, sweet guy, and I think he means well. So I think he's probably the most likable out of all of them. Oz is number two as well because he's a genuine person, and I think that he was just trying to be like Stifler because it works for Stifler, so why won't it work for me? The way he acted in the beginning there. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, he does have good intentions, and I do see his point. Like that moment at the end of the movie where he wants to play lacrosse, but he also wants to sing in the choir, and it's like he's torn between two worlds there. And I honestly I see where he was coming at, where he says, well, I got to play this game because it's the biggest game of the year, and they almost kicked our ass last year, and without me they could lose. But also at the same time, this choir has also been relying on him as well. And he bows out at the last second. What's that going to happen to the choir? So now he's not just doing that to look good for Heather. He's also doing that because he really should do that. And I like that. It really shows that he's got a genuine good heart. And he shows that he goes to the game at first, but then he realizes I made a massive mistake because I actually genuinely like Heather. So maybe I should just go over to do this because it's for her. And he's showing sacrifice for her. And that's that's the true thing about showing love, is that sacrificing what you genuinely want to do with yourself to do something else for someone else. If that makes sense. There's a lot of something else's that I just said.
Yeah, you got lost on there, Chris.
But no, that came out of a book that I read about what was it, like 12th century lore. It's like that's true love, is to counteract what you want to actually do, something. But yeah, anyways, to go on to it, he's number 2. I would say that then Finch would be no, you know what? Not Finch. I'm going to say Kevin will be number 3. Kevin's number 3 because he has a mission that he wants to do. Although it is ridiculous and it seems silly, it's still a goal that he set for himself. He wants to complete this mission, and he wants to work it out with his girlfriend. He really thinks that it may actually work, even though they are going to be splitting up and going to separate colleges. But they both understand that after finally having sex with one another, that it wasn't the end of the world and it wasn't going to destroy their relationship or unite them even more. It was just it was something that they needed to do so that they knew that they loved each other. And they both very adultly said that it wasn't going to work if they went to different colleges, so they had to split up. And I think that's really shows a good, strong characteristic at a young age, which is a good thing to have. Then I would say is Finch. Finch really doesn't have anything. His mission is just to try to appear as being, I guess you would say, on Stifler's level is the best way to put it. He really doesn't have any goals other than to be on Stifler's level. And it's like, why would you want to be on Stifler's level? Because Stifler, where he's going at, and lastly, I would say Stifler is the most likable out of all of them because he doesn't have any direction. He has nowhere that he is going. His only thing in life is to drink, sleep with women, and then that's it. And it's like, okay, well, where's that going to be in like 10 years? So
wow,
that's what I have. How about yourself, Mark?
Oz, he's just a good dude. He's just the nice guy of the bunch. He says that stuff in the beginning, but I don't think he means any of it. I mean, these are high schoolers too. We're adults talking about kids who are written by a 27-year-old. So you can't. I mean, we never had any of these. These conversations that these kids are having in high school just are mind-boggling. So you have Oz, and then I'll give it to Finch because whatever. He's just Finch. He likes whiskey. And then I'll give it to Jim because that stuff he pulls on Nadia, man. That's some. I know you're in high school. And the webcams are relatively new, but come on, man. I liked his relationship. Yeah. I like his relationship with his dad a lot. I mean, just the magazines, and then looking at the pictures, and then we'll just say we ate it all, the apple pie. And at the end when they do the nice pats, and at the end it's just Kevin, man. Like Kevin, I don't know. In the beginning he has this girlfriend that really likes him. He's like, man, enough of this stuff. I need to get laid. And then he's just kind of bullying people throughout, and then being all mopey. All right, so. In honor of this movie, American Pie, with its plethora of gross out gags, let's do something really quick. Let's do a quick draft where we each pick 3 gross out moments from movies. And I don't know, maybe I'll put it up on Movies, Films, and Flicks Facebook, and people can vote on who put together the better gross out moments in a movie. What do you think?
Oof, this sounds pretty intense. But you know what? I'm always up for a challenge. So I'm game if you are.
All right, can I have first pick?
It sounds like I should give you first pick.
All right, so that's more Chris Kelly. Give me the first pick. So better do it, Chris. So this one is, I don't think anybody would pick this, but there's a moment in the movie Hall Pass directed by the Farrelly brothers with Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis. It's a horrible film. I do not like it. It's about just lame dudes who have great wives, and they just complain about it the whole time, and they want hall passes, and it's bad. But there's a scene where Jason Sudeikis is with this lady who keeps sneezing. And she sits down on this tub, the shower, and she sneezes, but she also has projectile diarrhea at the same time. And it just sprays on the wall. Oh. And I remember hating the movie so much. And the reason this moment sticks out to me is because I was so bored. And I was just disliking everything. And then that moment happened. And I went, whoa, that's pretty gutsy to feature in a movie. Have you seen that scene?
Yeah, she's sitting there crying in the bathtub, and she's like, achoo! And then she shotguns, I guess is the best way to put it, all over the tub, and it's like, oh, I was not expecting that to happen at all.
I mean, because you hadn't seen too much like that, and so I just watched it again today, and I started laughing. There's something so gross and unexpected about it that I love it. It's the only scene from the movie that I would actually recommend. I wouldn't even recommend it because it's terrible. But that's my first one.
All right. I would say my first pick is going to be from the 1980s classic body melt genre of films. There was a genre of films that came out called the body melts, where literally the movies were about bodies melt. And I am talking about Street Trash, which is a movie about a evil, I guess it's an evil liquor company that's putting out poison booze to kill off the homeless population.
Oh, that's like Black Dynamite, right? With the Cobra.
Is that what's happening? No, Black Dynamite. It's the Cobra. Anaconda malt liquor is trying to give get you little woo.
Just kill me.
But the scene is, well, there's a lot of this, but basically probably the grossest out of all of them is when the liquor store owner decides to drink the booze for whatever reason he has, and he walks outside and his body just completely deteriorates and he becomes this melted mess, and it looks like Jell-O mixed with spaghetti and pudding, and he's crawling down the street.
Oh man,
it is a disgusting movie. There's a lot of that. There's one of the opening parts of the movie is when the homeless guy gets sucked into the toilet.
Oh gosh,
it's like puffing in and out of the toilet. It's disgusting and repulsive, and I think that's going to be my first pick.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, so I got to go with my second one, and this is from another movie I don't really love, but there's a scene where in Van Wilder with Ryan Reynolds, where they have a bulldog, and they have the bulldog, they take the bulldog's semen and they put it into eclairs, and then they show frat boys eating it with the stuff spilling out of it. Ugh. And they're just going, oh yeah, it's so good. And this is another movie I hated. I'm like, I can't believe they did this. This isn't a movie. That I felt repulsed by it. I've never really had a visceral reaction to anything in movies. And watching that, I'm like, this is too much. This is too far. I hate it. This isn't funny. This is stupid. I hate you. Like, I almost wrote a letter writing campaign, but it's just stuck with me. It's just stuck with me for so long, man. I had to do it. Like, I just had to add that scene because it's effective, I guess, but it's psychotic that it happened in a movie.
To add to a little more of a cringe to it, which is definitely a gross out, and really kind of like, I think everybody that sees this movie knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's 1990s Misery.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, the hobbling of the legs or feet. I'm sorry. Holy crap.
Oh, so I'm going for like gross out gags and like sex comedies, like American Pie, like when he's with the pie, or the drinking of the beer, the pale ale. That's kind of what I was saying, like gross out gags and comedy.
Well, I might have to. That's kind of what I was. That's what I hit was Misery. So.
Oh, got it. Oh, that's fine.
Oof. If you want to give me a second, I can probably come up with.
No, that's fine. Do it. I didn't give you clear rules. I mean, that's a gross scene, man. That's a
yeah. When you're watching that scene, whenever whenever Annie hits James Caan's foot because she finds out that he's actually he's getting out of the room and she wants to keep him captive. Just that shot of the foot being like, whoop. It's like, what?
I mean, that's beautiful. I love that movie.
Easily one of my favorite horror films of all time, and holy crap.
It's one of the rare Academy Award-winning horror films, too, with Kathy Bates.
Yes, and that was very early in her career, too.
Oh, man, I love that movie. I had to write about it. I had to do a thing where Stephen King movies, which was the best. And that's a lauded movie. Rob Reiner, James Caan. Oh,
yeah.
So damn good.
That movie's jam-packed with a lot of different talent. And to have that acting and just having her being so like overbearing and being like, you can't leave. Oh, my God. Jeez Louise.
And it's funny that you picked this one, too, because I'm going to go with the Stephen King adaptation with Stand By Me for my third pick.
Man.
With the barf. I mean, I'm going to change it up. I'm going away from sex comedies, but the vomit scene where the kid just eats all that blueberry pie and then just barfs it into that guy's face and everybody. Like, when I watched when I was younger, I never saw that coming because Stand By Me, it's a pretty serious movie. And this scene with the explosive barf. Yeah, so that's my number 3.
Yeah, when he's eating all the pie and then he turns and looks and blah.
I mean, it's it right? Isn't that ugh.
God, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was the scene. I remember whenever I first saw Stand By Me, it was on TV, and this was in the mid 90s where things were very heavily edited for television. And that scene was actually taken out. So I grew up not knowing that scene existed until many, many years later, probably up until maybe 6 years ago, that I finally saw it on unedited. And I was like, wow, how come I never saw that scene?
It's so excessive, and you wouldn't expect it. So I'm going with things that just really shocked me in the moment. I guess just really blew my mind. So those are my three. So how do you want to finish up?
All right. Well, to finish it up, I'm going to go back to a comedy, and this one's a little bit lighthearted, and it's not like completely repulsive, kind of like what I had with Street Trash and adding on with my other movie. I'm going to go with Misery. I'm going to go with There's Something About Mary.
Oh,
and the scene with the semen, Mary putting it into her hair. I found that it's disgusting, but it's also funny. Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. When Mary takes the hair gel from Ben Stiller's ear, puts it in her hair, and her hair stands straight up.
It's insane. We have two Fairley Brothers movies on here, so that's great.
Those guys know how to do their stuff. I'll tell you that. I mean, they come from a very long time of kicking ass with these movies. I mean, Airplane. I mean, holy crap.
It's just that scene though, and that movie was a blockbuster, a legit.
Oh my God, it was huge
blockbuster, and that set piece was everywhere. I mean, posters everywhere. Cameron Diaz was super brave to do that.
Yeah,
and she nailed it.
She's amazing in what she does. She's always been great. I love seeing her in every movie. Every time she's on a film, it's always a delight to see her.
And the tough pit with that is, so you have that scene that I talked about in Hall Pass, but that's done, one and done. You're over. Like, you have to provide a jetpack to shoot out of there. Like, there's a gag. But Cameron Diaz had to sit there for hours with her hair up, knowing exactly what it was. I mean, that's just such a that's a great pick, man.
Yeah, it's a fun movie as well. So. Yeah, that's my final pick.
Jeez. All right, how about this? Let's regroup here. Let's take a quicker break, and then when we come back, we'll talk more American Pie. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And I gotta say, the directors of this film, Paul Weitz, Chris Weitz, they went on to successful careers. I mean, Chris went on to direct New Moon. He just recently did Operation Finale. They both worked on But a Boy, which is a movie I really love. Chris Weitz came back with A Better Life, which actually got Damian Bashir an Academy Award nomination. He worked on Golden Compass, and he also wrote Rogue One, Cinderella, and The Clumps, Nutty Professor 2, which kind of blows my mind. And then Paul Weitz directed American Dreams, where he brought back Chris Klein to sing. That movie was not good.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. I always get that confused with Swing Vote for some reason. The movie with Kevin Costner, who's the last guy that has the vote to swing the election. Oh, I don't know why I always get American Dreams and Swing Vote confused with one another.
We should do American Dreams, Swing Vote, and Welcome to Mooseport. As a series.
Welcome to Mooseport. Man, that was the last movie that Gene Hackman ever did. After he did that movie, he became a professional cyclist.
Oh, I love it. I'm getting out of here. And then I also think we've talked about this guy before, but Richard Curto, the cinematographer, he worked on Out Cold. He also did a movie called Grind. And he got his training working on Last Dragon, Raising Arizona, Ghostbusters 2. He did some work on Donnie Darko. But yeah, I think there's nothing about this film that is super, none of the shots you're going to talk about. There's no major shocks, but I think it does a solid job in regards to capturing the humor. They thought about capturing the jokes the best way they could. So I think it's just in traditional kind of teenage sex comedy cinematography. I mean, I'd say it's just about perfect.
Yeah, I think Richard Crudo, he did a really good job with what he knew what he was shooting. There was only a few times, according to the commentary, where Richard had actually spoke up and said, "Oh, I did that wrong." And that was specifically whenever Heather and Oz are walking on the pier, which was originally supposed to be on a beach, but apparently they couldn't get the funding to go to the beach. So they just said, forget it, we're going to do it on a pier. And that scene, there was originally shot, there was no sparkles behind Heather. And whenever they watched the dailies, Paul said that Richard came up to them and said, "Shit, man, you were right. We should have put some sparkles behind her." Because it just looked like Heather and then a black screen.
Oh, wow.
If you think about it, if you watch that scene, there's all these lights behind them, and there's lights behind Oz, but there's no lights behind Heather. Which, in the aspect of that scene, it makes sense, but visually does not make sense, and it looks really weird. You're like looking at two different scenes, so they had to reshoot that. That was part of one of the very few reshoots that they did for this movie. But yeah, I mean, to add to his resume, I mean, he also worked on Field of Dreams and Jungle Fever. So he's been crushing it for a very long time, and he's still doing really well. He was the president of the American Society of Cinematographers from 2003 to 2005, and then again from 2013 to 2016. So he's definitely an amazing, accomplished cinematographer, to say the least.
And it's interesting too. He goes from such sort of there are some visually dynamic movies in there. I mean, Raising Arizona is just always moving. Whoa. It's like but he wasn't the cinematographer; he was a Steadicam op. But it was interesting how he made the transition into comedies there for a little while. And I think people don't. Did we do So I Married an Axe Murderer? It was you and I, right?
Yes.
I thought that was interesting how the director kept wanting to do all these fancy dolly shots. And Mike Myers is like, no, you got to show both eyes. So it takes discipline to shoot comedy. So I think that you can't just be an inexperienced cinematographer and shoot it. But I mean, I guess, yeah, all I'm saying is here is I think this is, the later on we get, I think this might be one of the better looking filmed, I would say, in just regards to the cinematography. I don't think they get any better than this in the American Pie quadrilogy. I don't know what you think.
No, they really knew what they were doing with this one. They knew they were shooting a comedy, and they knew that it was going to have to be. There wasn't really that much Steadicam in this, and the reason being is that Paul said, and just to add to that, Paul had never directed anything prior to this movie, and neither did Chris. They actually both did a little bit of associate producing, most famously on the Fantasy Island reboot, but they really didn't do too much other than that. The writer, Adam Hers, who actually goes by the nickname of Hersey, he didn't write anything prior to this. So you have a bunch of inexperienced people that want to come together to make this movie. And to add to the cinematography, Paul said that he wanted this to have a retro feel to it. So they wanted to use as little of Steadicam as possible. And the only time you can really notice the Steadicam is whenever Jim is walking up to Nadia. And also, if you're paying attention, when he's walking up to Nadia, you can see a flag actually on the left-hand side in the party blocking a light.
Oh, that's amazing.
They pointed that out in the commentary, which is pretty funny. But no, you can feel that with the movie, that they kind of wanted to give it a little bit of a retro feel to it. It was it's an updated current movie, but at the same time, it had a lot of retro shots, which a lot of dollies, a lot of not Steadicam, a lot of sticks being used, and that's kind of how they wanted to make this movie feel. So they wanted to make it feel like you're kind of watching like a timeless movie, if you want to say it like that.
I mean, aside from maybe some of the internet stuff, it still holds up pretty good in regards to looking somewhat It's not overly dated. I mean, I know you have the cargo shorts, and you have the sweaters with the V-neck and the white shirts.
Yeah, that was big in those days. Yeah. Oh, man.
But you just reminded me of a scene where Jim first walks up to Nadia, and he just starts laughing. There are several moments in this movie where you just want to cover your eyes. Like when he just walks up to her, and there's that painfully awkward moment when Oz does the Scooby-Doo Bop scene at the end, and the teacher's like, man, you crushed it. I'm like, what? But and then the whole scene about Casanova in the car. You really do. There's moments where it's cringe comedy, but it's not like raunchy cringe comedy, if that makes sense. They actually have, there's cringe laughs in here, and then there's cringe comedy. It's an interesting blend of kind of laughing. And also the music, the scene where Finch has to go to the bathroom, there's surf music playing for some reason.
Yeah, the song Walk Don't Run.
Yeah, I love that. And then you have, Mrs. Robinson when Finch meets Stifler's mom. I mean, just the classic film from The Graduate, which makes me so happy to see. I don't know, they thought this movie through, and they added it in with little things, and I think that's another reason that kind of added to its comedy. Because we talked about, Detroit Rock City, and that movie is more based around the characters being loud, right? There's some funny moments, but there's not, I mean, he pukes in a thing for a while, that's about it.
Yeah, there's not too much gross out humor in Detroit Rock City.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one definitely probably has more heart than the comedies we've talked. Maybe Role Models could match it.
Yeah, a little bit, but then Role Models came out 10 years after this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, imagine if, oh man, never mind. I would have liked to seen Jane Levy as Stifler's mom.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
What, Jane Levy, right? No, wait. Yeah, Jane Levy from Role Models. I would love to have her in American Pie. Is she one of the, is that her name?
Jean Levy?
Yeah, from
You're talking about Eugene Levy?
No,
guy?
Jane from Role Models. It's Jane Levy.
Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynch.
Oh.
All right, here, hold on. Give it 5 seconds. Give it 5 seconds. I'm going to do that over.
Sure.
I would love to see Jane Lynch in this world, just watching what Eugene Levy did. Now, he didn't like most of the script. Yeah. And he wanted to make up, so I read he wanted to make up most of his own dialogue in here. Did they talk about that in the commentary at all, or no?
No, they didn't really talk about him that much. And I think a lot of it, again, has to do with the fact that the commentary was recorded very much early whenever this movie first came out. Although it did make a massive success right off the bat. I mean, the opening weekend it made 18 million. But they really weren't prepared for what it was going to be. So they didn't really dive too much into that. The scenes with Eugene Levy, everybody in the room was very much on board with the holy crap. Can you believe that we worked with a comedic legend? Which Eugene Levy was a huge comedic legend at the time. I mean, he was in everything Christopher Guest did, and he was just very well known in the comedy circuit, especially if you want to go all the way back to the early 80s and even before that, within the 70s. I mean, he was known as these various different side characters that just really added a nice layer of comedy. If everybody remembers him from Vacation, where he's the one who sells the family truckster, it's just hilarious. So they didn't really talk much about if he wanted to change the script at all, but it does make sense that he was kind of on board with wanting to change things, because if you can see that his reactions where he's just like, now this one is called Shaved. I'm not too familiar with this one, son.
It's like a tropical plant. And like this one focuses more on just walking through those things.
And she's just like kind of looking at you like, hey, big boy.
Oh, what a good scene. And then he covers for his son. I can't normally in a lot of these movies too, where I keep bringing all these films up, but I'm just going to keep doing it. In Idle Hands, you never really meet the parents because they're dead. And then you have Detroit Rock City, the parents are really strict. In this one, you have a really supportive dad. So they're not rallying against terrible people. All these kids seem to have pretty decent home lives, I would say. Yep. So it's interesting that there's not that baggage in this either. These are just kids on a mission and they're trying to conquer it. I don't know. I guess I like that. There's a little bit of a heart in there with the dad too. I mean, everyone loves that character. He's been in all 8 of the movies, Eugene Levy.
Oh yeah. He's awesome. I remember whenever I saw that movie, when I saw this movie back in the day, my friend said his only complaint was his dad, Jim's dad, didn't get laid. He said that would have been a funnier end to it. But originally it was supposed to end with Jim going on to Prague and meeting up with Nadia, because I didn't know that was where she was from. I thought she was they just say foreign exchange student. I had no idea that she was from Prague. But he was supposed to end with Jim going to Prague and then meeting up with Nadia at a hotel.
Oh, wow.
But the director said, we couldn't afford to do that, so we opted for the cheapest option, which was Eugene Levy dancing in the hallway.
Gone to his wife.
Yes.
Making his way over there. He's watching the video, and he's like, well, whatever, I get it. It's fine. I have a weird kid. Oh, and then when they first find him in the beginning, where he's looking at the channels and he's like, oh, there's a boob, and then they walk in and he has a sock, and it's better than a sock. It's just so awkward. I love the Jason Biggs saw in the commentary. I also read a bunch of articles about this where Biggs, his manager, was like, listen, Biggs, you're gonna have sex with this pie, and you're gonna have sex with that pie like no one's ever had sex with a pie before, because he wanted to be a serious actor. But his manager's like, you get down there and you take care of that pie.
Yeah. He's like, you get it. He's like, well, what if no one watches this? What if, literally this movie does not get made and funding falls through? And he's like, listen, you get in there and you hump that pie.
That makes me so happy. Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's got to be the actor's biggest fears working on a movie that could go either way. Again, teen sex comedies were really big in the 80s, not so much in the 90s, that they weren't really sought after. So this was the movie that brought it all back. And to be working on it, not sure of where it's going to go or anything. I mean, it's kind of like working on any movie, really. And just going, well, what if no one actually sees this? And I just did all this and this weird stuff just for nothing. And of course, the thought is to do, hey, man, just go in there, do it the best you can. And that's all that matters.
Oh man, I had a good point, but I totally forgot it.
Oh jeez.
No, but yeah,
I went rogue again.
I've been wrong. I don't know if you've had this, but I've been working on movies before. I'm like, this is gonna suck, and then I watch it and I love it. So it is tough to really know what you're on. And I've been on movies where everyone thought it was gonna be great, and then it turned out not to be great. So all you know are these little vignettes and scenes, and you're like, how is this gonna be pulled together? How is this gonna work?
Yeah, that's always a thought when you're making a movie, is that there's three ways that a movie is made. And one is whenever you write it, the second time is when you actually shoot it, and then the third time is when you edit it. So you never know.
And also too, another funny thing about this movie is it came out pretty well, and in Germany it beat out Mission Impossible 2 to become the #1 film of 2000 in Germany. They love it.
I gotta say, I wasn't expecting that. But the director does say in the commentary that in Europe the movie didn't do so well with the gross out jokes. It was more the sexual humor that they really liked. He said in France, that's where they get the biggest laughs from the sexual humor.
So what the Germans, like the other people in Europe, like when Jim's super quiet and staring or laughing at Shannon Elizabeth, is that what you're saying? Like the cringe comedy, they didn't like the sex comedy, but then the French love the sex comedy?
No. He said that in Europe in general, but in France it was like above and beyond. But in Europe in general, the sex comedy was actually more than what they thought it was going to be. They thought that it was accepted even more over there.
Wow, this makes me laugh. I would have loved to have seen this in a French pack theater in 2000. Yeah. Watching this.
I bet it would have been great. Oh my gosh.
No, I think it set out a nice template to. I mean, this also kicked off. Road Trip came out, Euro Trip. The Girl Next Door. This is kind of like Scream being responsible for all the meta teenage horror, and then you have this being responsible for all. I mean, granted, there were big films in '99 that were big, though. I mean, She's All That was huge. So, I mean, 10 Things I Hate About... so I think it was just a combination that led to all of those movies being big, I would say.
Yeah, and, as we discussed earlier, that this movie really did kickstart that whole feeling again all these movies to come back. And they had a really heavy reign for a good solid 2 to 3 years. And then the sequel to this came out, and then the comedy scene kind of went to a whole nother direction, which was with Superbad.
Yeah. I mean, American Pie 2, though, and American Wedding, just to pull in $240 million with inflation domestically, and then domestically $162 million for a third film. I mean, this became almost so you watch movies, the horror movies that come out, there's just more and more, and you keep watching them. But this movies and maybe Meet the Parents, those 4 movies maybe gave diminishing returns, but the 4 of them still made bank at the box office. It was a different era for sure.
Yeah, and I mean the target demographic for those movies is that age where it's like 17 to 22, and that's where you have more of your disposable income as well. So that's your target audience. You're going to want to go see more of those movies whenever they come out. And then, of course, if you have the sequel when you're a little older, like, nah, you know what? I'll spend a couple of extra bucks. I'll go to see that.
And it's interesting. It kind of aged with the people who watched it. So you have American Pie 1 and 2 that they weren't released back to back, but you have end of high school, and then so kids graduate from high school, then they go see this movie with them in the following year. And then you have a wedding maybe from like when you're 24, 25, some of your friends are maybe getting married, and then you have the reunion. So kids our age sort of grew up with these people. It's an interesting way that they spread everything out. It makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, we all grew up watching these movies, so it was like, yeah, it was kind of neat. It's kind of neat seeing them every couple of years and checking in to see how it's going, and it's pretty cool.
I'm a major role in one of these movies, Chris Kelly.
I know, American Reunion. I have your autograph. I remember all about it. Go ahead.
Blink and you'll miss it. But I'm a part of the American Pie party scenes. That makes me happy. Now I just got to do Fast and Furious party scenes. I got to find my way into one of those.
I think you could do it. I mean, I think you have the muscles for it, Hoffmeyer. I think you walk in there, just flex and be like, just say like, hey, it's a family thing.
Have some Corona. I brought my own Corona. Well, you can't have that.
And you only drink it with the bottle up in the air, the bottom in the air.
It just you see beer explode in the background. Oh, my best bet would be to go work on it and then be like, hey guys, chuck me into this party.
Yeah.
I want a glory shot of me sitting on a car. Because normally it's just gratuitous shots of women. I would throw me in one, guys. That wouldn't happen.
Oh.
All right, so any final thoughts about this movie? What were some other notes? What else you got for me?
Yeah, I would like to give it up for Chris Owen, who played Sherman.
Oh gosh, yeah.
He's really not somebody that folks would probably remember nowadays, but I really remember this guy standing out a lot when I was a younger person. I remember him as kind of like the thin version of Patrick Renna, because if you remember, Patrick Renna was a big name kind of before he did The Sandlot, and he had a very unique look. He had, very chubby cheeks. He was in Son-in-Law. He was from The Sandlot, went to Son-in-Law, and then he moved forward. He did a lot of commercials, but he had a rival, which was Chris Owen, who was basically the skinny version of him. They looked kind of alike, and they had the same vibe to them. They both had the red hair, the freckles, and everything. And he was more known at the time of this movie as that kid from Major Payne. He's in the front cover of Mary. He's the one who sneezes, and he went on to do Angus. He was in Black Sheep. Can't Hardly Wait. He was the kid that kept stealing everything in that movie. That was him. And then later on, he went on to do The Mist, which I think he was way too old to be playing a stock boy in that. But, he was supposed to be playing someone who was supposed to be 18, 19. He was clearly 30. But I thought what was kind of interesting that I just wanted to bring up that if you remember the cartoon Daria, which was the spin-off of Beavis and Butthead, the character of Upchuck from that,
yeah,
he was almost identical to Sherman. And he was voiced by Jeffrey Arend, who everybody would remember from the movie Devil. He plays the lawyer. He's in a bunch of different things, but that's the movie I remember him the most as. He was a lot like the character of Sherman. He was very kind of cringy, gross, and he was very I'm here to hook up with the girls. But then with Upchuck, it was always that he was, he always got beat up. So that was, I always wondered that, was his character inspired by Upchuck, or did they just kind of pick that character? Because you got Sherminator, Upchuck, you know what I mean? I don't know. But I just thought that was interesting. I just figured I'd talk about that. And also Jennifer Coolidge, she was very well known at the time in the improv comedy. She had a very short-lived variety show with Roseanne Barr and Kathy Griffin, where it was kind of like Saturday Night Live, but it was all female cast. That only lasted like a season, but she was very big in the improv world prior to making this movie. And after doing this movie, she went on to do Two Broke Girls, and then she does literally everything like Eugene Levy, anything that Christopher Guest does, she does it as well. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I love her character in Best in Show.
You know what? It's been probably a good 10 years since I've seen that. God.
She just sits there. She's kind of a trophy wife, and she's like, sometimes we talk or don't talk. Sometimes we talk by not talking. And it's just so she just goes off, and she's hilarious, man. It makes me so happy.
The one I remember the most was I can't even remember the name of the title of it now. The one where it's a movie about making a movie.
Oh, there is So it was Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, then For Your Consideration.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's what but I think she's the producer. They're like, what does a producer do on a movie? She's like, she just stares blankly. I mean, it's just fantastic work all around. The producers on this, they went on to do some amazing stuff afterwards. I know Chris Bender was an associate producer on the Final Destination series. I went on to do the Hangover movies as well. Chris Moore later on was nominated for an Oscar for Manchester by the Sea. He co-produced Good Will Hunting, Joyride, Waiting, and the sequel, and all the Feast movies. Craig Perry also did the Final Destination series as well as the American Pie series, and they're currently working on American Vacation. In case anybody out there was wondering, yes, there is going to be a part 5, and it's called American Vacation. So looking forward to seeing that as well.
I mean, the last one made over 200 million, so why not?
Of course. I mean, where else? These movies, I think that if they come out at the right time every couple of years, they are guaranteed to make money, because there's people like you, people like me that are going to want to see this just because we have that nostalgia feeling for the original and how much fun that we had whenever we saw it to begin with. And then they bring it all back. It's going to be great. Like I loved American Reunion. I thought that was fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to this. Louis G. Friedman was also another producer on that, but he started out all the way back in the 80s as a line producer on Cherry 2000.
Whoa.
Yes, that movie. Not TC 2000, but Cherry 2000. For those of us that aren't really big into B movies, there was a gigantic series of films that came out in the early 80s to the mid 80s, maybe somewhat even into the late 80s, where they were futuristic robots that were just kicking ass and taking names. And Cherry 2000 is no exception, but that was his first movie. He later on went to do Canadian Bacon as a coordinating producer and Jag. Remember that show?
Yeah, Jag. That was on forever.
That was huge show. Then he switched to producing, starting with this movie, then went on to do How High, Slackers, Blue Crush, which is one of my all-time favorite summer films, Accepted, and then finally Bloodshot.
Hey, I love Bloodshot.
Yeah. And I'm almost done here, I swear to God. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Adam Hers. He had sold this script for $650,000, which is a little bit over $1 million in today's money. His father was a brain surgeon, and he drew inspiration for this script and the sequels. He wound up writing almost all the other sequels from his own experiences while he was in high school. And he went on to do all the other sequels, as I had said, and he co-produced them. But he's currently working on a TV series called Best Intentions, which, according to IMDb, that it revolves around a teenager, his awkward single father, who is his guidance counselor at the high school that he goes to, and the all too smart women of their fumbling affections. So I think that he has something maybe going there, but it seems like it's almost going to be an extension of American Pie. So I'm interested in seeing how that really goes.
I mean, if you got one good trick, keep using it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long they'll be able to last, but I'm looking forward to this. Originally, Selma Blair was offered any female role in this movie, and she turned it down, saying that she didn't want to do any more teen movies. If you forget, she was known more as like a teenage actress at the time. She was known for Cruel Intentions and doing various different day player roles in TV shows and movies, but she was seen as more of a high school character, and she was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't care. And she has gone on the record as saying, quote, that was so dumb. I should have just ridden that wave. End quote.
Yeah, make that money. You'd have been in 4 sequels, pulling in some cash.
Yeah, I mean, who knew? Elijah Dushku was also considered for a role in this movie. So I think that she was probably most likely supposed to be Nadia, but I can't say that with confidence. But I think that would have been a little bit interesting as well.
I kind of, yeah, I mean, I think there could have been other actresses thrown in, but I don't want to see anybody else in it. I like Mena Suvari a lot in Heather. I thought she was a really cool character. Yeah. I dug her. I like the way she played Heather when she asked him to prom. And yeah. I do love that scene where Oz goes, Stifler, blank. And Stifler just looks like, what? He's like, oh, stop being so insensitive. And,
yeah. He's like, geez, Stifler.
And I liked her reaction to just disgust when they were like, yeah, we got this choir girl. And then he kind of has to get her trust back. And then I thought Tara Reid was good in this, too. I thought she added some good earnestness. I felt really bad for her when Kevin's like, enough of this stuff. I want to do that. He's like, I've been putting this in for months. Like, she was cool. I thought she handled that well. Natasha Lyonne. Allison Hannigan's perfect. Because this is a movie I wish I hadn't seen the trailer for. That, like, Hangover, I remember they gave so many good things away about that movie in the trailer. I mean, it got people in the seats. But I wish I hadn't have known about the flute bit. Or the Say My Name, because I don't know how I knew about it, but somehow I read an interview and then someone told me about it. But I love that came from her, because if you knew nothing about that movie, then that happens, you're gonna love it. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and I thought she was the perfect person to pull that off. I was also a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I like that show. Yeah,
she was arguably the biggest name on this movie when it came out. Well, Eugene Levy, but for the younger audiences, it would have been Allison Hannigan. To add to that scene where you're talking about when he's like, "Oh yeah, you got yourself a choir girl." The thing that he is doing, Stifler, where he's going, "Oh, hit that high note." That was called the "F Me Like a Whore" dance, and in the script there was a note that said, "See Chris Weitz for details." Because they didn't know how they wanted this to look. And Chris Weitz went out and showed Seann William Scott what to do. And during the dailies, when they shot it, the note that came back, I just want to make sure I get this right. It said, more humping, less spanking.
Oh my gosh. Because that probably matters in the MPAA. I would say.
It does, and folks don't really understand that it really does matter when it comes down to things like this. But yes, that was it. And also there was different scenes, especially with Oz and Heather, whenever at the end where they finally have sex, that it wasn't supposed to be explicitly shown that they were having sex. That if you were to watch that movie, you wouldn't assume. You could go either way, was what the producer said. And I strongly disagree. But they said in the commentary, I don't know, maybe they have heartburn.
That's
So
it's real.
He's like, I don't know. We don't see anything. So how are we supposed to assume?
It was interesting, talking about another scene too, Shannon and Elizabeth talking about how awkward it was to film her scenes because a lot of stuff was filmed on location, but they built this set in a warehouse, and she's just in there with a boom guy.
Yeah, I mean, nudity in movies in general is awkward, very awkward. But I can imagine her, she said that in an interview that it was just her and the boom guy, and she just felt really weird about it. And it's like, well, I mean, it was in the script. You read the script.
Yeah, but there's a different atmosphere as opposed to reading on the script. When you're on the day
of course,
in a sealed off set and everyone's kind of embarrassed because it's just a scene that probably, the directors don't want to be like, heck yeah. So everyone's trying to be super nice, and she's just like, all right, let's get it over with. But then everyone's, it's awkward. I was on a stand-in on a movie where they had some nudity on it, and I had to do this scene where I was on a roof looking through a window. And so I went up there to stand in for the guy doing it. And so I went up there, did it, and then they're like, all right, Mark, just hang out here for a little bit. Then they shot the scene, and everyone cleared the set. But I didn't want anyone thinking that I was trying to be gross and look, so I kind of crawled down on the roof. I was still on the roof. And I just sort of laid in a way that no one would, Mark's definitely not looking in there because I don't want to be seen as a creeper. But I fell asleep on a roof. And the stunt coordinator had to throw a bottle of water at me to wake me up. And I'm like, I could have rolled off that thing, man. But I just remember the atmosphere. Everyone's like, okay, we're moving away. Everyone back. Everyone get back. It's a very charged, I guess, atmosphere. It gets heightened. So it must be weird for the actors, too, I would say.
Yeah. It's definitely not fun, I would say.
Yeah. And the pie scene, I wonder if that was fun for him.
They said in the commentary that originally Jason Biggs didn't have his pants down exposing his butt. So one of the directors ran in there and ripped his pants down.
Thanks, Weitz. And then they cut out of the theatrical cut the thing of him on the table with the pie.
Yeah,
it's a better choice, I would say. Him just laying on the pie is a little weird. But I think it's such a weird scene. Jim's a weird guy. Oh man.
And just to add a little bit more there, Bill Murray was the original choice to play his dad.
Wow.
But I can imagine he probably turned it down.
I mean, I love Bill Murray in there. He'd be great. But I love the warmth and awkwardness that Eugene brought to it.
Yeah. And I think that Eugene really gives more like a genuine fatherly type of character as well, which adds to it as well.
That patting scene was so endearing because it was so awkward, but it felt right. You can tell the two just love each other. They have good chemistry, those guys. They did a good job together.
Oh, you see that picture right there? That was a fun day.
It's like, how do you talk to your kid after all that stuff? Like, I just caught him watching that and this, and he's just, I mean, Jim's not making it any better.
Yeah.
I did love the Blink-182 cameo, because I remember when I was 16 or 17, Enema of the State came out. And so I was already listening to Blink, and I also had Dude Ranch and Buddha and all that beforehand. So when they popped up on screen, it made me so happy to see those guys on there with the monkey, the random monkey.
Yeah, that was the monkey that did everything that they wanted it to do. They said that the monkey was actually the best actor out of the whole group that was in there. They said the monkey did the hands over its eyes right on cue. And also, if you can watch it, whenever they all go, oh, shit, the monkey actually mouths that too.
Wow. And that's such a creepy scene if you look at it now. But I think the actors they cast, you had that one kid sitting by himself in a room. He had good little timing. Then you had the ladies watching it again. They found a way to make something like exploitive, I guess, kind of funny. And then they turned it on him in the end by doing that twice. And then that led to Alice Hannigan. Well, she goes to detention to pick him up. That's like her plan, isn't it? She just...
Yeah.
She knows
along she has something.
She knows he's the easy lay. Here's two rubbers. I don't want you what's happened on the internet. Oh man. And one time, and then just band camp. When you were that age, like in high school or middle school, or wherever you're at, like were you saying like did people say MILF or band camp or any of that stuff?
It definitely picked up very much so right after this movie came out, and that was just a phrase that supposedly the writer came up with, and he just thought that it was funny, so he went with it. And also, the writer said that the reason why he put in the one time in band camp was that when he was a kid in school, he said that there was tons of these band kids and theater kids and art school kids, and they would go to these camps over the summer, and then usually in the first 2 weeks of school, they would always go, "Oh my God, that one time at band camp," and they would. And he wanted to put that into the movie to show that it was funny, but it was also really annoying to have people say that like over and over again. So he wanted to really show that. But he said it wasn't originally written to be like that, but Allison really changed that character for what it was. And Allison said that had a lot to do with her not really being prepared to read the lines. In her audition, she was auditioning for another character, but she was kind of panicked because she had drank a bunch of water prior to going to the audition, and she had to go to the bathroom. And she kind of lost her train of thought when she got out of the bathroom. And then she found out that she was up next to rehearse. So she was like, oh, my goodness. So she tried to do it. So she was trying to go through her lines quickly. And she was like, I blew the audition. But it turns out the directors really liked her for this character.
I mean, she nailed it. It was such good casting. That's kind of
amazing.
lightning in a bottle casting, too. And her line readings, oh man, when she just finally, I'm getting a little antsy. Can we go? Oh, Jim. And then he bounces off the bed.
Yeah. They kicked the ball of marbles. For some reason, there was a ball of marbles sitting right there, a container of marbles, and then she punches out the light from what was that movie? 9.5 Weeks.
Yeah. Just destroying the room. And then when they're talking the next day, they're like, things aren't going to be the same. What, after having sex? No, man, like graduating. Oh, Jim. He's so happy to be used.
Yeah. But did the critics like this movie?
61%. Well, no,
So
that wasn't the score, I guess, in 99. There's probably been reviews added. But yeah, what did the critics say?
Well, in 1999, they were really split. Roger Ebert loved this movie. He gave it 3 stars, and he said that in his review, quote, "The film is in the tradition of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, National Lampoon's Animal House, and all the more recent teen sex comedies. It's not inspired, but it's cheerful and hardworking and sometimes funny. And here's the most important thing, it's not mean. Its characters are sort of sweet and lovable. As I swim through the summer tide of vulgarity, I find that's what I'm looking for. Movies that at least feel affection for their characters. Raunchy is okay, cruel is not."
Right.
So he really liked how this movie was not anything you haven't seen before, but the characters did not have cruel intentions, I guess is the best way to put it.
And there's not 10 things I hate about it.
Yeah, Mark.
I know. If this was up for an election, wait, no, that doesn't work.
No,
but you're right, though. He's right. It does have heart, and it's not mean-spirited, and there's enough in there to not make it a just cynical sex comedy.
And I think that's what also caused this movie to be such a success, to create all these different, I mean, I don't even remember how many spin-offs there are, to be honest with you. I know that they have another one coming out. That's they're doing the female version of American Pie spin-off now. So there's so many different spin-offs of this series and sequels. So I'm really looking forward to what the future holds for these movies. But also, other critics really didn't like this that much. One person in particular wrote a very scathing review for Superbad as well. So I don't know if Wesley Morris, who is the author, really just doesn't like teenage sex comedies or not. In his article, Flaky American Pie, he wrote for The Examiner, he said that it is, quote, "It's an incidental evocation that unwittingly emphasizes how pathetic these guys are during the vast intervals between laughs. Since generating laughs is something Weitz seems to have no idea how to do. The result is a rhythmless comedy that's cued more like a horror film. Semen-spiked beer, a webcam that broadcasts the film's most exploratory loser, Jim Biggs, a Game Boy who deserves a future, performing a striptease for the hot check transfer, Shannon Elizabeth, with fake breasts, and of course, that baked delight of the title. The camera lingers on these and a few other things as if they were designed to induce an audience to scream and plead not to go there. What else can you do when resident meathead Stifler swigs Kevin's pale ale but shrieks, "No!" Neither John Waters nor the Farrelly brothers inspired this. Wes Craven did. End quote. So he was not a big fan.
I guess if you think about it, this movie, it is based around set pieces, but that's a lot of the movies that come out around this genre, though. I mean, you have the set pieces that everyone remembers, I guess. Yeah. So it's like a kill, or it's like an action beat. I think you just got to check off boxes for these films.
Yeah.
And we talked about Valley Girl. The producers needed them to show 3 pairs of breasts in it. Yeah. And, I mean, Martha Coolidge fought back. But there does seem to be a check. I mean, I guess the narrative in this movie, it's good, but it does bounce all over the place, I guess this does. But the tone never feels too off to me.
No, I just think that the movie, it's not, you know what you're getting for. It's a teenage sex comedy. You know, I don't know how else we can cut that.
The way you got to review it is for a teenage sex comedy, not Election, I guess. You got to kind of look at the genre and see if it's good for that. Do you agree?
Yeah, totally.
Got it. So if you're giving this a grade, the sex comedy grade, R-rated sex comedy grade, what would you give it?
This definitely gets an A+.
Yeah, I mean, it checks all the boxes, right?
Yeah, and everything about this movie.
And it doesn't mean that, like, I have a theory that all these movies exist, and this isn't our world that all these sex comedies take place in. There's a different timeline that is for these movies, because this isn't the real world, I guess, that they exist in. So I just looked at them as a separate world that has a bunch of really odd stuff going on at all times in them. But yeah, so that's it. Any other reviews?
I do have a few, but I think that maybe I should just go on to my recommendation.
Oh, wait, no, like what, like any highlights from the reviews? What do you got?
The overall feeling of the different reviews was that they either liked it, they were kind of like, nah, or they hated it. Peter Travers for Rolling Stone, he was kind of like, about this movie. He said, for starters, there's something about semen. Remember last summer when Cameron Diaz's Mary rubbed a glob of the stuff in her hair and aroused the ire of prudes and a few critics? Expect similar reactions. To write off American Pie as jerk-off jokes for jerk-offs is to miss the rare blend of humor and humanity. To miss the rare blend of humor and humanism that distinguishes the work of these showbiz siblings. Dad is a fashion designer, John Weitz. Mom is an Oscar-nominated actress, Susan Coer, and granddad, Paul Coer, was a top Hollywood agent. Paul and Chris wanted to share directing credit on American Pie, but the Directors Guild denied the request, and Paul was given solo billing. No matter, count on the Weitz brothers to stir things up in the rebel tradition of the Coens, Farrellys, and Wachowskis. On them, gross looks good.
Wow.
End quote.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they kind of went that route, but then it seemed like that they wanted to be more mature later on in their career.
Yeah, they definitely did. But they made some. I mean, they came up with some successful stuff, though. I mean, I love About a Boy. I don't know if you've watched that.
I have not.
Oh, it's good. There's a scene where, so Hugh Grant is this kind of man. He is a man-child who's living off the royalties of a song that his father wrote, and he's having this conversation with Rachel Weisz. And during this conversation, he realizes that she's as far out of his league as possible. And it's just a really neat moment in the movie where he thinks he kind of has it all figured out. Then he meets somebody. He's like, whoa. This is not. He's like, I need to get better. It's a good moment. And they also did like In Good Company with Topher Grace and Paul did that. That's another fun movie that has a really solid Rotten Tomato or Tomato Meter score. So they find earnestness in things. They have a tone for sure. I don't know about New Moon because I don't remember that movie.
Oh, I love New Moon. I love all the Twilight movies.
I
watched them all. I watched them all recently. Again, I just love them. I don't know. People have issues with Twilight. I say, as far as vampire movies go, look at the vast majority of vampire films, okay?
We were in Italy, and this movie was on almost every night, and so we would just put it on with Italian dub, and it makes it seem so much better. It's so much more dramatic in Italian. Like, it wasn't subtitled, so it was kind of funny listening to all the different accents portraying the actors. It made it seem a lot better. Wow. If I spoke Italian, I bet I'd love it. I just love the drama, the flair that they added to the stuff, but... No, I'm glad that they found success off this. And, I mean, it's tough, too, because you make this movie, and Mena Suvari said it too. I read an interview with her. Her first two movies, big movies, were American Beauty and this. I mean, big films. So she's like, oh yeah, I guess every movie you're in makes $100 million and wins Best Picture. But no, they all continued on. It's cool. And I'm looking forward to covering the next three.
Hell yeah.
All right, so what's your recommendation, Chris Kelly?
I do believe I need my theme song.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Chris Kelly recommendations.
So my recommendations, as I've said before, they are, if you consider this podcast to be the main course, my recommendations are going to be more of like a wine or a beer that complements it. It's not directly related, but it goes along with it. And I only have one, and it is 1983's Class. I'm not sure if you've seen this one, Mark.
No, I never even heard of it.
Okay, so the basic storyline is that a country boy gets a scholarship to go to a classy prep school, and then he meets his roommate is this guy who's kind of like this preppy, high-class person, and it's his mission to get Jonathan is the country boy, Skip is the high-class guy, and Skip thinks that it's his mission to make Jonathan to lose his virginity. So during a trip to Chicago, Jonathan just kind of lets him go, and Skip winds up hooking up with a beautiful older woman, and he really starts to like her, and she starts to like him, only to find out that this beautiful woman that he really starts to like and she likes him is Skip's mom.
Oh wow! And this is Rob Lowe and Andrew McCarthy and Jacqueline Bisset. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not quite the teenage sex comedy. It's more of a drama than anything else, but it does have some really good laughs, and it's also a lot of fun. It's definitely a movie that you can check out and just have some fun with.
Nice. Have you? All right, yeah, I like that. That's a good cast, man. I dig it.
Yeah, I remember seeing this movie on Comedy Central when Comedy Central first started back in the mid 90s, and they would play like any movie. And I don't know if anyone else remembers Comedy Central back in the days before South Park, but they literally played any comedy movie in general. And remember, they had their 8-minute commercial breaks on 8 minutes on the dot, and sometimes it was in the middle of a sentence you would get a commercial break. I remember that. But this was one of the movies that they showed very much routinely. It was up there with TBS playing Beastmaster literally every day. So
I love that. That was on all the time.
Oh yeah, it was. I remember TBS used to be called the Beastmaster station. They played it so much.
And remember when Holy Grail was on Comedy Central, just on a loop?
All the time.
But I loved it. Shoot, that's cool. Sorry.
I also wanted to add, if you do want to watch American Pie, remember guys, it is available to rent at Videodrome here in Atlanta for $5 for the week, and you'll be able to get the special edition unrated version with the commentary and some behind the scenes videos and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, go to Videodrome. They're the best. Keep them open.
Yeah. They're great guys too, man. All of them are really cool.
Love it. So you want to promote your podcast before we get out of here?
Yeah. And guys, if you are interested in listening to more about movies and behind the scenes research and everything about films and actually firsthand interviews that I've conducted, my podcast is Classic American Movies. It can be found literally anywhere that you find a podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. My girlfriend, she's from Germany. She doesn't really know a whole lot about American movies. So I show her a bunch of different films, and then we both do a lot of deep research on them. And it's picking up really good steam. It's becoming very popular very quick. And I also conduct firsthand interviews with those involved in making of cult classic films. The latest one that I released was with John Russo, who was the co-creator of Night of the Living Dead. I had a lot of fun talking to him. It was really something else for me. It was just to hear everything about that movie. I've interviewed tons of different directors, writers, actors, and it's just a lot of fun.
Chris Kelly's crushing it.
Yeah, it's picking up a lot of steam, man.
Good. Well, you work hard, man. I love hearing it.
Thank you very much.
Just don't forget about me, man. Don't start bronze and everything.
Wait, who am I talking to again? I think I
forgot. You're already making me sing theme songs and stuff like that. All right. Well, this was fun, man. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Chris, Sherminator Kelly, Kelly-nator Kelly, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.